You're interested in buying a new car. You want to take it on a test drive, correct? That's wise and responsible. It'll get you a reliable product. Americans often take the same approach to marriage. Take a trial run. Cohabit with each other. Seems logical, it seems reasonable. But the evidence supporting this theory is not very good. Flanagan and Williams state that a couple who cohabits before marriage is, on average, twice as likely to divorce as a couple who does not cohabit before marriage. Twice as likely. That means that trial runs do not equal happy marriages. I myself am a newlywed. I did not cohabitate before marriage, so I cannot speak from experience about the negative effects, but I can attest to the positive effects of obeying God and doing marriage as God ordains it to be. So after hearing this speech, my audience will understand the emotional, spiritual, and familial dangers of cohabitation that can only be remedied by abstaining from living together until after marriage. I will address the problem first, including the damaging effects of cohabitation and why it has become popular. And secondly, I will address the solution, which is simple: abstain from living together until after marriage. So the problem. Cohabitation is a serious social problem because of the damaging emotional, spiritual, and familial effects it has on society. The emotional effects. If you marry the person you have cohabited with, it will be a less than ideal marriage. The National Council on Family Relations surveyed 309 newlywed couples. Those who cohabited first were less happy because they had a low quality of communication, and that is from leaderu.com. People that cohabit are also more likely to be unfaithful, which results in severe emotional trauma. Sexual attitudes and lifestyles reports that 90% of married women were monogamous, while only 60% of cohabiting women were. On the other side, 90% of married men were faithful, 43% of cohabiting men were faithful. That is from leaderu.com as well. It's also emotionally taxing to live with the fear of your partner leaving you at all times. You are, quote, always anticipating the moment when your mate will wake up and find the good feeling that holds you together has dissolved beneath you. That is from LeaderU, quoting from Jesse Bernard. The spiritual effects are that premarital sex is a sin, as stated in the Bible. Cohabitation provides an environment and an avenue for premarital sex. This is harming spiritually because a relationship like this is contrary to biblical truth and therefore not pleasing to God. That's a quote from Flanagan and Williams. The familial effects. The likelihood of divorce among cohabiting couples is quite high. This can be devastating to the children who are involved in this relationship. Abusive behaviors can also arise. A recent study at Penn State found that, quote, cohabitors argue, shout, and hit more than married couples. That's from leaderu.com. And obviously, abusive behaviors are devastating for all involved, especially children. This can also cause children to suffer morally. Parents who have been married and then choose to cohabit later in life, they're exhibiting a double standard to their children. The children will become confused morally, which will have damaging effects for the rest of their lives. So how did this problem come about? It has become popular because of societal changes. James Sunday states, so why is Generation X so sketchy on marriage? Generation X bears the mark of being raised as children of divorce. They do not want to repeat the same mistakes as their parents. It's also coming from financial stress in this economy. Jason states, quoting from Pamela Smock, high housing costs and tight budgets often lead young people to cohabit together. It seems fiscally responsible. So what's the solution? In order to reverse the effects of cohabitation, couples need to pledge to abstain from living together till after marriage. Why? What is so good about marriage? It protects you emotionally because you are committed to each other. You're more likely to work out the problems in your relationship than someone you're just cohabiting with. Secondly, it protects you spiritually because God is pleased with marriage. He ordained it. And if you obey Him and do it the way He commanded, He will bless you. And finally, it protects your family because children who are raised in a stable home with married parents that haven't cohabitated are more likely to have a stable outlook on life. So in conclusion, cohabitation is a problem with negative emotional, spiritual, and familial effects. It has become popularized because of societal shifts, and the solution is simple. Abstain from living together until after marriage. But don't just hear this message, act on it. If you're single, refuse to cohabitate before marriage. And if you're married, spread the word about the dangers of cohabitation so that this problem can be stopped. In closing, don't take a test run on marriage. It is not worth it. Trust God's judgment and obey Him, because disobedience through cohabitation leads to heartache and pain. Thank you.